In this video, I want to show you how to create this beautiful multicolored lettering piece. And contrary to popular belief, you don't actually need any special Procreate brush for this. You can use any brush that you already have in your brush selection, and the trick is to use the smudging tool. You might have noticed a little color swatch at the start of the lettering piece. This is what we are going to use as the starting point, and then we're going to set up our brush so that it will drag the colors along and create this beautiful multicolor effect. We're going to start with a brand new canvas, and that screen size canvas is perfect for this. And the first thing we are going to do is set up a little color swatch, and in order to do that, you want to select the monoline brush, which is part of the Procreate calligraphy brush set. I've got the brush size set to 2%, and if you want Procreate to remember the size, you can tap on that plus sign here, so it's going to lock in the size here for you, which is quite handy. And so now we're going to draw a circle, and I'm going to choose this light gray color here from my IPL 2024 color palette. If you wanted to get this palette, you can get it for free from my website, and I'll leave a link in the description of this video. So we're going to draw a circle, and we're going to use the quick shape tool, of course, which means you don't lift up your Apple Pencil until the shape snaps into place, and then you hold down one of your other fingers to create the perfect circle like this. And now we want to align the circle in the center of the canvas, and in order to do this, tap on the arrow tool to select the shape, and then go to snapping and turn on magnetics and snapping. And now you can move the shape perfectly into the center of this canvas, and you'll see that it's in the center when you see the two yellow lines. And now you want to fill that shape like this, and then we're going to create a new layer. And now we are going to change our color to black just to see the lines that we are going to draw now. So now we are going to draw some segments into the circle. And in order to do that, we're going to just draw a straight line like this and let it snap into place, and then align it perfectly vertical like this. And we're going to create another new layer, and we're going to draw a horizontal line. Again, we want to let it snap into place like this. And we actually want to align these in the center of the canvas as well. So you can just drag them and then let them snap into place. And then we are going to merge the two layers with the line. So you just tap merge down on the top layer. Now we're going to duplicate this layer, and we are going to rotate it by 45 degrees. Make sure that you've got both magnetics and snapping turned on. And now when you rotate the layer, it'll snap to 15-degree increments, and we want 45 degrees like this. And now it hasn't aligned it perfectly here in the center, but that's not a problem. We can adjust this manually. So now we're going to turn snapping off again, and we can just ever so slightly align this. It doesn't matter too much if it's not 100% precise, but this is looking pretty good now. And so now we can merge these two layers together. And then the next step is we want to cut those ends off. And the easiest way to do that is to create a clipping mask on top of your circle layer. But we're actually going to use the circle layer again later on. So we're going to create a copy of this first. So we're going to duplicate this, and then we're going to do a clipping mask. So now this contains all the lines inside our circle. And then we can tap on this again, and we're going to select merge down. And this is now going to be our reference layer that we're going to use to fill in all the segments with color. So we're going to tap on the layer thumbnail and then tap on reference. And now on a new layer, we are going to fill in all these segments with our favorite colors. So again, I'm going to choose my IPL 2024 color palette, and now we can drag in all our favorite colors into these segments. So let's start with yellow. And you just hold it over the segment until it gets filled. And of course, this is just a starting point. If you don't like these colors, you can easily do this again, because we've still got the reference layer. So really all you have to do is create a new layer, and then you can start filling the segments again. But we don't actually want to use the reference layer anymore for now. So what we're going to do is turn this off, and it's important that you turn reference off, because otherwise it'll still think that you want to use this layer as a reference, even if you turn the visibility off. And now we're going to use that bottom layer again. So we're going to move that up below our colored layer, and we're going to make this white now. And the easiest way to fill a layer, I think, is to alpha lock it and then fill it with the color that you want. So we're going to select white, and then tap on the layer thumbnail and then choose fill layer. So now it's white. And now we're going to merge this layer down so that we've got our circle with the white background. And you can see that alpha lock is still turned on, and that's exactly what we want, because now in order to get rid of these white lines in the middle here, we are going to use Gaussian blur to blur out the lines. So tap on adjustments, tap on Gaussian blur, and now we're going to blur these lines ever so slightly. You don't want to blur them too much, just so that they're not super visible anymore, but you don't want the colors to go too much into each other. I've got it at 8%, and I think this is actually quite a good setting. So now this is the basis of our color swatch done. And now let's duplicate this layer to create a spare copy of our color swatch, just in case we want to go back to it later. Now we want to turn alpha lock off again, and we want to decrease the size of this. This is now the swatch that we are going to use for our colorful letter. So we're going to make this quite small. You want to have this set to around about 100 by 100 pixels. You can dial in these dimensions directly like this if you wanted to. And then we're going to take another copy of this. And this is quite important. You always want to take a copy before you start your lettering, because we're going to use up this color swatch in the process. The reason why we went through this whole setup is because we are going to use this little color swatch as the starting point for our smudging. We need to choose a brush for this, and as I've already shown you, we're going to use the smudging tool for this, and you can use any of your favorite brushes for this. And I'm going to show you a few different fun brushes that you might like to try out. First up is the modern lettering brush, which is part of my dream lettering brush set. And the trick here is that you will need to go to the properties, and then you will need to move that smudge pull slider all the way up to max like this. And now we can start writing the words, and you'll notice that you get different results depending where you start your lettering from. So you want to try and be as exact as possible and starting really in the middle of your swatch. And you'll also notice that every time you do this, you get a slightly different result. But this is really what makes it so much fun, because now you can try this out and then maybe position your Apple Pencil just slightly differently, and you get a completely different look. And I really like this. This looks so nice with the orange going into the purple. This looks super nice. So another thing you can do as well is slightly turn this shape around again for a different look. So you can select it, and then you can just turn it ever so slightly. And then let's see what happens now when we do this. And again, I'm going to try and be as precise as possible and place the Apple Pencil in the middle of my swatch. And so now I get a slightly different variation of the colors here. And so definitely experiment with this, and also try out different colors altogether so you can see the effect that you can create. But now let's try another brush. And another one of my favorite brush sets is the Dessert series. You might have heard me talk about the hazelnut cream brush, which is my all-time favorite brush, and it is named hazelnut cream because I love Nutella so much. So we can try this brush. So first we want to make sure that the smudge pull is set to 100% like this. And again, you can see that there is a different effect that we can create here like this. But now I want to show you the Cherry Sorbet brush. This is a streaky brush, and this is actually a lot of fun. So I've already set that up for smudge pull max, and this comes out really nicely. So you get this really super cool streaky painterly look with this brush. And then there's also the Melon Sorbet brush, and it's got smudge pull set to 100% already. And this looks just so cool. But now let's go back to our modern lettering brush, and I'm going to show you how we can refine the letters a little bit once we've written the word. So now let's try and make this extra nice. I'm going to be as precise as possible and start exactly in the middle of my letter. And this is looking pretty nice now, but you can see that the ends are not 100% perfect. And in order to fix that, we're going to use the eraser tool, and we're going to use the soft airbrush for this. And now you can just erase this. And the reason why I like using the soft airbrush is because we don't want the edges to be too sharp. We want them to be quite round. And we just want to even this out and make a nice smooth transition here. And then now let's fix up the brush tip here as well. It's got some little notches here, and we can just make this a little bit smoother like this. And now it's looking so much nicer. But look here how nicely the colors have blended. Isn't this super beautiful? And here as well, this is just so nice to look at. Another thing you might like to do is add little shadows, so we can do that as well. We're going to create a new layer again, and you want to set the blend mode of this layer to overlay, and then choose black. And you can continue this with the soft airbrush. And in order to make the shadow not too intense, we're going to change the opacity to 50%. And then I've set the brush size to around 10%. So now you can draw in just a very, very subtle shadow here. And then we can go all the way around and draw in the little shadows. So you want to add the shadows everywhere where the strokes overlap like this. And then you could potentially put them in the corner here as well. And to finish the piece off, let's also add a shadow below our lettering for an additional 3D effect. You can keep using the airbrush for this and turn the opacity back to 100%. Draw a straight line first and then use Gaussian blur to soften it up. It creates quite a large shadow, but we can adjust it with the freeform tool by dragging the top handle down. Now it's a bit intense, so let's turn down the opacity a little bit by 2-finger tapping on the layer to bring up the opacity tool and sliding it to the right until you have the opacity you want. And now we are done. I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.